It's been more than a month since the presidential election, but some Hillary Clinton voters still have not accepted the outcome. Aaron Blake, senior politics reporter at the Washington Post, writing, quote, supporters of Hillary Clinton can't help but keep reciting selective statistics to make themselves feel better about what just happened, almost as if she hadn't actually lost. The problem is that many of these stats mean far less than those using them would prefer. Aaron, nice to see you. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it as we run through at least some of these things that pop up on Facebook, or at least in emails that go around. Number one, Clinton got more votes than any presidential candidate other than President Obama. Fact or fiction?
Sure. It's true that she got more votes than anybody except for Obama in 12, Obama in 08. That means less than we think it does, though, because of population growth. Basically, every time we have an election, there's going to be one candidate setting a new record or coming close to it as far as the number of total votes. So that number just doesn't quite mean as much as we'd like it to.
Okay. Next, as we look towards sort of the three key states, that was a popular vote. Now we look towards the Electoral College. Take away Jill Stein, this theory goes, and all of a sudden Clinton would have won Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. She wins those three. She would be the president rather than Donald Trump. Is that true?
Well, not exactly. There's always this thing about third-party candidates. Are they spoilers? Did they spoil this election and change the result of it? And if you look at Jill Stein's vote total, the Green Party nominee, she did take more votes than Trump won by in the three states that he won the election. But if you look at exit polls, many Stein voters were not going to be Clinton voters if they didn't vote for her, if she wasn't on the ballot. A lot of them say they would have stayed home, and even some of them would have voted for Trump. So you can't just take all of those Stein voters and give them to Clinton in a race in which Jill Stein did not exist.
Yeah, we heard the same arguments made about Ross Perot, of course, back in 1992. Right. This one I hadn't heard, though, and I thought it was sort of interesting. Democrats won the Senate popular vote. I'm going to ask you two questions. One, is that true? I'm guessing that it probably is. And second of all, who cares?
Well, the who cares is a good question. It doesn't actually mean anything. It is true, but it's a stat that's very misleading. First of all, we only have 33 or 34 states that vote in a given election for Senate. The other 16 or 17 don't. And so the popular vote is very reliant upon which states happen to be voting that time. The other reason is that there was a major fluke in this Senate popular vote. The biggest state in the country, California, has an unusual system in which two Democrats can advance to the general election. That's what happened this year. So you have basically 12 million voters, a large chunk of the nationwide Senate popular vote, that were picking between two Democrats. And so those votes were not even available to Republicans, and that margin is essentially why Democrats even won the Senate popular vote. So, again, something that means far less than we would think it would.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, as they say, 70% of all statistics are lies. You and I both talked to a lot of Democrats, a lot of Republicans before the election. The mantra from the Democrats when they thought they were going to win was, you must accept the results of the election. Elections are sacrosanct. You cannot question them. Therefore, we need to move together and come together from a country. Is there any sort of chagrin when you talk to Democrats now who are citing these statistics and trying to go through the hacking stuff, and actually now they're in the position of the ones trying to question things and trying to undermine the results?
I think that there's certainly a little bit of turnabout going on here. I think that the questions that they were dealing with before the election were always about, massive amounts of voter fraud that Donald Trump was alleging was going to happen. In this case, I think it's a little bit more about making themselves feel better about what just happened, maybe explaining that, it was kind of a fluke that Hillary Clinton lost this election. After all, she won the popular vote. The fact is, though, that we have an electoral college system that's in place. The candidates run under that system, and Donald Trump won under that system. We don't know if this was a popular vote election exactly what would have happened, because the campaign would have been run entirely differently. So I think it's more about people trying to make themselves feel better.
Excellent point there. And you spoke about the Electoral College. Chris Wallace on earlier about that, just that point. Fox News Sunday, some interviews you don't want to miss. Aaron, appreciate your time and great information, sir.
Thank you.
All the best.